you abolished the diaper tax.
The thing is, if you've met one person with dementia, you've met one person with dementia. Every single one is different.
When you're the dean of the School of Communications at Quinnipiac University
because it's allowed me to understand education.
I started traveling the country, just training people to understand these disabilities.
That was one of the reasons why I brought you on to discuss that.
Monday night, 8 p.m. EST.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode number 17 of my podcast, Live with Pamela Roth. So today's Monday, December 4th, 2023, and can you believe we are 20 days away from Christmas Eve, and the insanity of all the Christmas shopping has started. I know a couple days ago, I believe it was on November 29th, if you were in New York City, they had the Christmas tree lighting over at Rockefeller Center. And that was a beautiful event. If you got to see it in person with the crowds, it was a quite beautiful, clear, chilly night. Or if you had the opportunity to watch it from the warmth of your home on television and away from all the crowds and gridlock. I remember being in the city that day, and the gridlock was just insane. No matter where you went, I got caught in every intersection. So anyway, like I said, we're getting ready for Christmas. One of the things I actually started doing, just to share with you, is from the time that I was younger, I was always very artistic, whether it was sketching, charcoal, painting. I always loved to create something for art, and I was always very good with calligraphy. And so through the holiday season, I was actually fortunate through Mother's Day, Father's Day, and the last couple of holidays, and now, of course, Christmas season is my big season. I am working freelance for an art company, and I do hand engraving calligraphy on glass bottles, whether it's perfume bottles, cologne bottles, champagne wine bottles, wine glasses, and they're beautiful personalized gifts. So I'm just, not that I'm asking you for business, just letting you know what I'm busy doing right now for Christmas as everybody is preparing for the holiday. So we have a lot to discuss tonight. I am bringing on this wonderful woman. As you know, aside from being an attorney, I am also a professional stand-up comedian. I've been doing that for the last 5 years, and I've been fortunate enough to perform all around the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. I have gone as far as Maryland, doing stand-up comedy in a number of clubs and dinner theater and restaurants. So this evening, joining us, this woman is also a professional comedian. She is also a mom like me. She is a designer of cakes. She is a designer with home decor, Judaica, kitschy items, and repurposing furniture. She does it all. So I would like for you to welcome, as I am, Polina Zismanova to the studio.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Pamela. A few months in the making. I'm excited to be here. And you said my name right, which is, half the battle. So we're good.
Do you speak Russian?
I do. I speak Russian fluently.
Oh, okay. Хорошо, очень хорошо.
Очень хорошо. Поехали. Let's do it.
Здравствуйте. Как вы, Божьи, боите?
Очень хорошо. Спасибо. Очень хорошо.
I learned Russian during my MBA program. I studied it during my MBA program for a year. And of course, I would travel to Brooklyn a lot. My dad was in a limousine company. He had his own limousine business. It was a family business. And majority of his drivers were all Russian emigres. And I learned how to speak Russian from them. But then I challenged myself to actually learn it. So during my MBA program, I studied for a year. But still, that wasn't enough. And I used to go to all the Russian restaurants and nightclubs. I used to read Pravda to really immerse myself. And then I actually traveled to Russia. When all my friends were going for spring break to Florida, I went to Moscow. And it was before Perestroika. Right. So I was able to immerse myself fully in the language. I was in Leningrad, Moscow, Tallinn, and Novgorod.
Okay. You probably traveled Russia more extensively than I have. So I haven't been back. We left 43 years ago. I've never gone back. I had an opportunity during college to go work there, but it was just such a bad time over there. But when is it not a bad time over there? So, you know,
When's it
I
not a
kind
bad
of
time?
passed
I
on
know
that
in Europe.
opportunity.
Where
Yeah,
were you from when you came here from Russia?
so I was actually born, if you picture the border of Europe and Asia and go
Yes.
300 miles north of the Arctic Circle, that's where I was born. There was like
What's
3
the
Jews there.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the city called?
It's called Vorkuta. And if you tell another Russian person that I'm from Vorkuta, the first question is like, wow, what did your dad do to get sent there? Because it's like one of those gulag places. I'm not even joking.
I was going to say that's where the gulags are. If it's all
That's where the
the
gulags were, right? Right.
So
but when
were you in the Siberia region?
I mean, further, I mean, this is like border of Europe and Asia. So it's not, I think Siberia is way further, if I'm not mistaken. I'm product of the American educational system. So I'm not going to dazzle you with my geographical knowledge. But
this is what people know in this country about geography. It's up there somewhere. Just
no,
point up.
I mean, I can point it out on a map, but
Okay.
but when we were immigrating, we actually lived in the Ukraine, but back then it was Russia. But it was
Right.
a city called Kharkov, which is, I don't know what's left of it now, as you know, but that's a whole other conversation. So but grateful every day to be here, warts and all, you know, thank God here, not there. So.
Well, I am happy you are here with us, and I'm happy you're here with us in the studio because
Sure.
we have so much to discuss, both between being moms here in New York with children who are close in age,
Right.
of course, the unfortunate situation that we have right now with both Israel and Gaza, and the pro-Palestinian sentiment that just seems to be taking over
Right.
this entire country, the world, and all across the universities.
Right.
And I know you're in New Jersey, I'm in New York, but you must be feeling it too with a lot of the anti-Jewish and Jewish hatred and the racism and anti-Semitism that's been increasing daily.
Right. Just so you know, I've blocked off the next 5 hours, so we're in this for the long haul. We're going to talk about. No, I'm kidding. It's honestly, it's almost surreal. Like, how is this even our world today? For all the talk of diversity, equity, and inclusion, what the hell? You know, I mean, we are, I think, as a population, incredibly contributing to society in every facet of society. You know, I don't know one person who isn't positively affected by somebody Jewish on a daily basis.
Yes.
You know, and the scary part for me is right now, my youngest of 4 is picking out colleges. And it's turning out to be a nightmare because all the colleges that were on her list are, let's just say, problematic.
Yeah.
So we have to rethink the whole plan.
You see these demonstrations going on colleges across the country, and I'll speak specifically in New York and New Jersey because that's home for both of us. And the schools themselves are doing nothing, and the police stand by, and the police are doing nothing.
Right.
And if it was any other race, there would be, you know yourself, they'd be burning the cities down. But we as Jews don't do that. We're civilized. We don't have to burn things down. You know, we want the same thing that everybody else does, which is just acceptance. And I don't understand how. And I actually had a fundraiser that I did last Sunday on November 26th. I did a 3-hour fundraiser called United for Israel. And it was birthed between myself and my fellow comedian friend, Steve Goldberg. And of course, you know the horrific attack that took place on October 7th.
Of course.
And so it had to be October 8th. Steve and I were talking. And normally, you know, we talk comedy things. You know, when's your next show, Pam and Steve? When are you putting me on? And on this particular day, how could we have a normal conversation? Nothing was normal anymore.
Right.
And it just got to the point where, like, how is this happening? We grew up learning about the Holocaust, whether first generation or second generation at home or in school. Of course, I went to yeshiva, so it was, of course, we spoke about it. We had rabbis and teachers who were Holocaust survivors. I don't know if it was really covered that much, like anything in public school. Everything's whitewashed. You know, if it's not on whatever the standardized test is, they don't teach it. But Steve and I discussed it on that following day, and we decided, as helpless as we feel that we are, we need to do something to unite our voices. So this past Sunday, we had this fundraiser. We raised over $7,000. It was 15 comedians from New York, New Jersey. They performed everywhere from, like, on Conan O'Brien all the way to, like, you know, comedy clubs, Governors, comic strip. And it was so emotional. We had a gentleman on who was a Holocaust survivor, and we had a gentleman on, Moshe Emilio Lavi. His brother-in-law, Omri, is still, as we speak, a hostage. And he finally, only recently, within the last couple of days, received a word that, yes, he's still alive, but he hadn't been released yet. And so there's no way for us to actually sit and feel that we're carrying on like a normal daily life when it isn't, and one of the things that I feel is that, you think about history, that it's 1943 and now it's 2023. As much as we say never again, what has changed? The hatred now, I think, is more prevalent because it's more widespread, and you see it because of TikTok, because of social media.
Right. It's expanded the reach, and people are mesmerized. They're hypnotized by these, I'm sorry, complete idiots on TikTok and Instagram. They can put two sentences together, but somehow they have millions of followers that listen to this garbage, which has no basis in reality, and they get amplified. Their platforms are amplified. And the truth is like buried somewhere, and the fact of the matter is they don't really want to know the truth because the truth doesn't align with their narrative. You can literally show them the video. I saw people, well, that's AI generated. Oh, okay, that's AI generated. I mean,
they don't believe. They refuse
to connect.
Okay, babies were not burnt. There was one baby. Unfortunately, there's proof, there's testimony from eyewitnesses, from IDF and everybody else. It said that took a live baby and killed the baby, burned the baby alive in an oven, and they saw what was left of it in another. Oh no, that's not real. Okay, women raped, anally sodomized. Women are raped. They're taken out. That one girl that was taken out of the back of the vehicle, you saw the whole back of her sweatpants were soiled and bloody. Oh no, that's not the case. Now, even when it's right in front of their face, they don't want to even accept it. And then even the other crazy narrative, they say the IDF, our IDF went and actually killed everybody that day at the rock concert.
Yeah, that's next level insanity.
But they believe it. This is why, I mean, it's like the blood libel that we always had to deal with for generations. Right. And that still exists today. They rather spread the rumors and the propaganda and the hate than turn around and accept the fact that we Jews have been there for hundreds of thousands of years. We didn't suddenly just appear in 1948. Right. And you know who the worst is? And I don't mean to run away with this because, as you can see, I'm so passionate about this. I just want to scream from the roofs because I just don't understand how people can be so stupid and blind to the truth. And like you said, it doesn't follow their narrative. Gigi Hadid. Okay.
Imbecile.
Okay. Yeah. The imbecile family. Okay. She's Palestinian or Palestinian descent. And all she does is, again, continue spreading all the lies, but she's got a huge following of like 1 million people who follow this airhead.
Like 80 million. Yeah. It's like some insane number.
I'm sorry. I don't have zero respect for her. You stand there as a model. You're a mannequin. Shut your mouth. Stand there like a moron. Show off the clothing.
Right.
And that's it. I don't need to hear your opinion. Just like other people have always said, they don't want to hear actors and actresses political.
Yeah, shut up and act. Right. Go purge your lunch and shut the hell up. Right. Put the jeans on. That's but it's not even just her. Right. I was on Facebook. I was in a mom's group, a neighboring town, and I was reading it. And there was a woman. I'm assuming she was a Palestinian descent. I'm not sure. And she wrote this beautiful post about, finding peace and how we can coexist. And, her heart breaks for everything that we're going through also. And, if we can just talk to each other. And I was like with her, I was like, oh my God, I am on that. Yes, I'm on it. And then further down in the conversation, they start talking about what happened on October 7th. And she literally says, well, we know the dead babies. That was propaganda. That was all debunked. I'm sorry. So you mean to tell me I'm going to take the word of Hamas saying 5, 6, 7, however thousand many people, and I mourn their loss. I don't want to negate that tragedy. But you're telling me I'm going to take Hamas's word, the people that you clearly stated just baked a baby while raping the mother. So their word I'm going to take. But the IDF, that's all propaganda that's been debunked. Oh my God, Pamela, it took every ounce of strength I had not to go full on New York City wise ass comic and just roast the shit out of this woman. But I have to live in this community. I have work. I I literally held my tongue because I knew nothing what I was going to say was going to make a difference, because she had to say that's been debunked and propaganda. Are you on crack, lady? And she had me. I was with her. But that's kind of like how the anti-Semitism seeps out, right?
Yes.
It's like subtle, but oh my God,
I've been dealing with it. I've been dealing with it all my life, growing up both in New York and in Long Island. The very first word that I ever heard when I was younger, I had never heard it before. I never heard the word kike, K-I-K-E. For any of you listeners, K-I-K-E is the equivalent of the forbidden N word that white people can't use. Okay. And I remember going home and I asked my parents, like, I thought it was kite. Like, someone's called me a kite. Like, you fly a kite.
right.
I never heard this word before. And so I went home and I asked my parents what it was. And they said it's a really bad word and it's very hurtful. And they tried saying it's a very bad word against somebody who's Jewish. It's a slur.
Right.
It's okay. So then growing up, there was a time that there was and I will never understand this to this day. There was a boy, a young guy that I was dating or I was friends with, because I started college at 16. And again, I was pretty sheltered because I was Hebrew school my whole life. I had never gone to public school. Now it's my first time going to a public university. And so I met this guy. His name is David. He had a Jewish last name. I won't say it. He had a Jewish last name, but I didn't know the father was Jewish and the mother wasn't. So he takes me home one day after school to basically go in the house, study. And he tells his mother, oh, I have Pam outside. She's a schoolmate and everything else. Oh, what's her name? Last name is Roth. Is she a Jew? And so he said, yes. She wouldn't let me in the house. She would not let me in the house. I had to stay outside in the driveway. And I said, wait a minute. Your husband is Jewish. His father is Jewish, but I can't come in the house because I'm a Jew. It's just so weird. Like over the course of growing up in the city, hearing things like this, even when I was practicing as an attorney, somebody had said to me, and I just asked a very humble question, like, oh, so how will you refer to me as an attorney? Oh, I saw your ad in the Yellow Pages, obviously before Google.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, like the size of my ad was like the size of a business card. I said, well, what made you like call me? My ad was like so tiny. Oh, I wanted to have a Jew lawyer because I know you Jew lawyers like money. It's like, okay. I said, by the way, I happen to be Spanish too, which means I know how to dance real well. I said, so if I get money, does this mean that you don't want it from your settlement because you're not a Jew? And then, of course, you hear the expression, I'm going to Jew. I Jewed him down for a good price. Right. So unfortunately, we had to hear this growing up, and you kind of just like poo-poo it, like, oh, he's stupid. But why do we have to dismiss these slurs against us, where if somebody's Italian and there's a slur made against him from his ethnicity, or a Black person or a Puerto Rican person or anybody else, but why is it that we feel that we have to be accepting of it? It's almost like our voices don't mean anything. And now finally we're fighting back, which is what we should be doing, because there's no reason for us to have to stand up and deal with this bullshit anymore.
Right. It's true. I think I was lucky. My parents took me out of Russia when I was 7, and I'm sure they experienced anti-Semitism. I personally might have a little bit here and there, but if someone wants to call me a kike, I don't, it's that expression. Your opinion of me is not my responsibility. You'd show me who you are. I'm not going to do business with you. I'm not going to, I'm not going to socialize with you. You want to be a jerk, whatever. You want to be an anti-Semitic asshole. That's on you. That's on you. Like, that has no effect on my life. I'm just going to keep on being happy and productive and positive, But now we're getting to the point where my kid is not going to be safe at college. That's a different story.
No, it's a different story. You're right.
That's a different story. And if you're threatening to hurt my child, and I'm looking at colleges very differently now. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. You don't deserve my amazing kid. Go to hell. You're off the list. You're not getting our money. You're not getting the success, the input, the light that my daughter is. Nope. So now we had to rethink the whole plan.
I understand universities, we all went to college. You're supposed to be able to express yourself and your ideas and learn from others, accept other people, or decide not to accept other people. But it's supposed to be a safe environment.
Right.
When you now send your children away to school and you're paying for their tuition, you're paying for their dormitory, and now you're wondering, it's like, are they safe in their room? That you saw what happened weeks ago in Manhattan. I think was it NYU or Columbia? You had the Jewish students that were locked inside the library because you had like an animalistic barbarian crowd outside that's banging on the windows, like looking to lynch them. What would have happened? What would they have done to them if they got into that library? I really shudder to think what they would do.
Really,
because it's
I'm with you.
Thought.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
and I don't think any disciplinary action was taken against their students.
No, there wasn't. And
what about Cornell? The guy said, follow the Jewish students home, slit their throats, and rape them. I'm sorry. Yeah. What century are we living in? How on earth is this okay? How are you not in jail for inciting violence, for threatening a Jewish woman? How are you able to be free and walk around the campus still?
And it's not, and I'll tell you something, that's not free speech. When you use words of violence to incite hate, incite a riot, that's not free speech. That's not protected speech under the First Amendment. We learned that the first week of school. If you're sitting in a crowded movie theater and someone yells out fire and it's not true and everybody's running and trampling on each other, that's not free speech.
Right.
People are going to get harmed by it. If you're yelling out, go get the Jew and go rape him, go assault him, that's not protected speech.
Right.
And you should be prosecuted for it. And the police stand by, they do nothing.
Right.
And the campuses do nothing. I think there was another school just recently. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you know this more than I do. I believe there was a Jewish student who made a complaint. And what did they do? I think they took action against the Jewish students and not against the group that he was complaining about on campus.
Wow.
Like,
I mean, I hadn't heard that, but that doesn't surprise me in the least. So
you have swastikas that are being spray painted on people's homes in Paris. This is going back to the 1940s.
Right.
But this is how that's how everything started back then. If you look back at history, you had literally brainless, mindless morons, masses of morons, and you have somebody up there that they can look up to. And if you're a total loser and you're not part of anything, wow, let me join the crowd that's most popular now on TikTok, on social media, and I'm joining the hype of like, hey, let's go fight a Jew. Sounds like something good. I can meet new friends now because we're all losers together.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had the opportunity weeks ago, right after this happened, right after October 7th, I had gone to a number of pro-Israel protests. And right across the street, you had the pro-Palestinian protests. And this is all in and around by the UN, down by 42nd Street. So of course, there's shouting going on both sides of the street, but none of us were violent. We're not spray painting. We're not spray painting, slogans on buildings. We're not defacing property. Why is it?
A lot of them are masked also. They're hiding their faces.
Yeah.
We're not. And it's funny when I see those protests and people are like, oh, pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas. Okay, well, ask yourself this question. Okay. You have the pro-Israeli protest march, whatever you want to call it, the pro-Palestinian one. Your 3-year-old daughter gets lost. Okay. Which one would you want your daughter to get lost in? Think about it. You have one crowd that's violent, bloodthirsty, another crowd that is pacifist, almost quiet, not quiet, but I mean, like, not violent,
not violent, right? Right. It's loud, loud and proud.
Mm-hmm. Right. The differences are stark, and I'm sorry, if I had a child or anybody lost, go to the Jewish side. Just go to the pro-Israel side, because that's the sane, that's the reasonable, logical, successful. I'm sorry, I'm going to assume a lot of these people are bitter, angry, unfulfilled in life, uneducated, ignorant, or if they are educated, they're still ignorant because they're brainwashed, indoctrinated with ridiculous bullshit. So the differences in the two kind of protests, I think, are very telling of the mentality of both sides.
And denying history. I mean, the fact is, if you go all the way back to the time of the Bible, obviously you had the Old Testament before you had the New Testament. From the time of the Old Testament, the Torah, the 5 books, it always said the land of Israel, the land of milk and honey. Okay.
Right.
God gave it to the land of Israel, to the people of Israel. Where did it ever show? Number one, where did it ever mention Palestine? Okay. But if you want to say that suddenly the Jews who are the colonizers now, that's like a new word. The new word these days is genocide and colonizers.
Right. Talk about malapropisms. Like people that use that word have no idea what it actually means. Like how are they colonizers, you know?
How are we colonizers when it's our land to begin with? But aside from that, look at all the freedoms that everybody has in Israel, in that entire region. In fact, when they try to mention that Israel is an apartheid state,
so stupid. Israel, I can't even. I can't take if somebody says that. I just can't take them seriously. I can't take you seriously. You already lost your credibility instantly if you're saying Israel and apartheid in the same sentence. I was there a year ago for the first time. I mean, you literally see everybody everywhere. I mean, it's like
every religion, right? Every religion, every nationality and race.
Exactly.
You can, if you want to turn around and wear feathers and dress like a chicken, nobody's bothering you. Try doing something like that. Try wearing rainbow earrings and green hair over there in Gaza. I understand, something you're having you don't have to take the elevator or the staircase down from the top of the building because that's throwing you off. That's
it. And a flying lesson, they call it, a flying lesson.
Yes, flying lesson.
I know we're preaching to the choir. It's all just a bunch of insanity. Honestly, it's
but I feel like it's getting worse.
It is, and I don't know if you have this. I feel like this responsibility. I almost feel like, as a comedian, I feel like it's my duty to uplift, just to look at things from a different side, and just to be there for my community and like in a different way. To entertain, kind of just to take a mental respite. You know what I mean? To like reach out to people and post positive things just to counteract all the negativity. I deeply feel this weird responsibility of having to entertain and to distract, as hard as that may be, almost an impossible task at this point. But I do feel that kind of like, what can I say that's funny today? That'll, it's just, maybe
you got to, because, something, it's all too consuming. And I know there are days where, I'm getting bombarded between Twitter, Instagram, even on LinkedIn, which is supposed to be professional. LinkedIn now has like taken it. It's almost like dealing with Facebook on LinkedIn, and just everybody's wearing suits and ties. That's the only difference, because it's just become very political with the posts, even on LinkedIn and on Instagram. It's like you can't hide from it. And sometimes, in order, like you said, to detach, you have to do either shut yourself off from social media and the news, or just do comedy. And what do we Jews do the best? We learn to laugh and smile and make jokes in the face of adversity. Or like Jackie Mason used to say, what happened? They tried to kill us. We survived. What do we do? Let's eat.
Let's eat, exactly.
Let's eat.
Yeah. My therapy, honestly, like I go into my studio, my design studio, and I could be there for hours. And some people drink, some people pop bills, some people overeat. I just go and make pretty things. And that's how I cope with. And it's funny because then I look at the object I made and I know exactly during which crisis I made it. So that's kind of my escape, or we write, right? We write funny stuff. We write jokes or anecdotes, whatever. Everybody copes differently, right? And it's not being insensitive. And I'm like thinking, oh my God, am I being insensitive? Am I being selfish? Like, no, we're trying to survive. Like everybody survives in their own way, so.
It's also very good for our mental health to take a break and do something that makes us happy and feels good. I know, like I said at the very beginning of the program that I started from last year, I do a lot of the hand engraving on bottles and everything else. And so right now I'm immersed in Christmas music in the mall, but I have to be so precise because I'm working with glass. It's not like if I make a mistake, I can erase it. I'm like, you can't. So because I'm like drilling into the glass. Sure. And so I have to be very precise, and I'm so focused on it. For me, it's good. It's 5 hours of being really focused and not thinking about what's going on. And I have no access to my cell phone to keep checking things.
Oh, wow.
So I'm just immersed in my work. Or if I'm doing the comedy like the other day, it's hard, when you're thinking about what's going on over in Israel. And of course, I'm with the innocent people too, that have died in Palestine at the hands of Hamas.
Right.
Of course, I feel for them as well, but
of course
you have to make some jokes. You have to live a little, That's the whole point. Like, in our religion, when someone passes away and we sit Shiva, we're sitting Shiva for that period of 3, 5, 7 days, whatever it is, and after that, life goes on. You can't carry it with you 24 hours and grieve. There's that period. So for us to be able to take a break and you do your cakes and your designs and your home decor, it's healthy.
Yeah, for sure. As a Jewish person, I have a major Christmas envy also. I have a major Christmas envy. Come on. How fun is Christmas? It's glittery, it's shiny, it's sparkly, it's sweet, and apple and spice and all that crap. And I have Christmas tree envy, like big time. Because, we can't really have one. So my kids tell me that my next husband has to be Christian so I can have a tree. So I have to marry somebody non-Jewish just so I can have a Christmas tree and fulfill my.
No. My mom solved that problem because she had this beautiful white tree on top of our piano. Because growing up, we all took our piano lessons. Didn't do much, but we had our piano lessons. My mom had this beautiful white tree that she decorated with lavender and purple balls and baubles and everything. And we would have the Hanukkah presents underneath the Hanukkah tree. And my dad and my brother would set up all the Lionel trains around the Hanukkah bush. So I'll never forget this. It was one Friday. My dad comes to pick me up from school. And it was Friday right before we had like the Christmas Hanukkah break or the winter recess. And I didn't realize the rabbi was standing there. And I was like, Dad, did you set up the Christmas tree? Did you set up the Christmas trees and the trains? And my father looks at the rabbi. The rabbi looks at my father. His mouth dropped. And my father's like, Hanukkah bush, Hanukkah bush. I'm like, no, Daddy, Christmas tree, Hanukkah bush.
Wow.
So we have to have the Hanukkah bush.
But in Russia, we had a tree, but it was for New Year's Eve. It had no religious connotation. It was the New Year's tree. We had Grandpa Frost and the Snow Princess, his daughter, which is Santa Claus and whatever. And that was my favorite tradition. The New Year's tree, the sparkly balls, the tinsel, the whole nine, was always a real tree, none of this fake garbage. None of that fake garbage. The smell filled the whole apartment. And here we come to America, and I'm waiting. They're like, you know what? Here it's looked down upon in the Jewish community. Like, what? The oppression continues. Like, I want the tree, so no tree. And I have family. I'm very secular, but I have family that is modern Orthodox. So if they see this, they're going to know that can't disappoint them. And I have like a rabbi in the family, and God forbid, I have the heathen with the Christmas, the Hanukkah bush. I can't do that. I just can't.
You can hang dreidels, and you could hang rockets.
I literally, my kids felt so slighted during Christmas years ago. They're like, there's nothing for Hanukkah. So I started making Hanukkah decorations, and I literally turned that into a business. So I would go to all the shops the day after Christmas, get all the Christmas decorations for pennies on the dollar, and literally convert them into Hanukkah decorations. And then I started reselling them. That's literally a business I have, which is crazy that I call myself the craft rabbi.
Did you say crack?
Craft rabbi, the craft rabbi.
Oh, craft.
I literally convert Santa Clauses into Hanukkah Harrys, and Christmas angels into Latka fairies. Oh yeah.
Do you have any there handy to show us?
I do. I literally, seriously?
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Wait.
Paulina is going to show us her Hanukkah Harrys because she can't tell us about this without showing us.
Okay, just hold on a second.
Okay. So while Paulina is going to get that, we're just going to discuss a couple of things. All right. It's called Judaica, and which means that any of these Jewish items, it could be anything from mezuzahs and menorahs for Hanukkah, and the mezuzah is what goes on the doorpost in every Jewish home, and so Judaica takes on a number of different items. It could be from Jewish books and artifacts.
Okay,
Yeah, she's back. Okay, so now you can show
this. But literally, I take Christmas Santa, Happy Hanukkah. Then we have like a Hanukkah snowman.
Very nice.
This is a Latka fairy. She's got a sack of potatoes.
Oh my, that is incredible.
And oil. She's got a jar of oil. Girl, I could do this all day.
Now, do you take special orders?
Gimel the gnome.
Oh, that is cute.
Yeah, he's cute. I love him.
I've said for anybody, Gimel is a letter that is on a dreidel, and dreidels are very big that we play with and spin the little tops at Hanukkah. That's adorable. I want to order this for you. Now,
yeah, I mean, I have. I mean, literally, I could do this all. I have a whole studio.
How do we order those from you?
What's that?
How do we order those from you?
I have an Etsy boutique.
Okay, so please tell everybody about your Etsy boutique.
It's Posy Designs on Etsy. I do a lot of hamsas, also different kinds of hamsa hands.
Oh, that's very nice.
That's like my favorite hamsa hands. Yeah, I was not prepared to do a merchandise showing.
Well, you never know what to do. What's going to happen when I have you on.
But it's fun because I feel like it's the one thing that's kind of been lacking in, I live in a pretty Jewish area. If you go to the stores, you'll get like one little, shelf of Jewish stuff. And it's usually like farty and corny. And it's not as cool and clever as the Christmas stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to make my own. So here we are.
That's very good. So I've actually seen like cute things for pets now in PetSmart or other animal boutiques where they have the little like a blue doggy bone and it's felt and it says something about noshing. So they're even trying to get the pets involved now for Hanukkah gifts.
Right. I think my dog has she's like, it's like rubber gelt or something for Hanukkah. She's a very Jewish dog. Where is she? Surprised she's not here.
I'm going to do a little shout out right now for everybody. If anybody is in New York on December 8th, I am doing a Hanukkah comedy show with a number of other comedians at the Jewish Actors Playhouse in the city, a Jewish Actors Synagogue on, and I believe it's at 6 p.m. on December 8th. So if you're in the city and you want to drop in, and we're sending a lot of the proceeds over to the IDF, but we're going to have it's like, fun comedy with latkes.
What did you say with latkes?
Latkes.
So it's funny that you said that because actually that's my new thing. I said this is my my Hanukkah dating strategy is I send guys unsolicited pictures of latkes.
Are you single?
I am single.
Oh, I had no idea because I'm thinking, so wait, we could go on talking about dating sites. Oh my God.
We're going to need more time.
Okay. I just want to know one thing. All right. And we can discuss this now. And I actually made a joke about this on one of my sets. You're swiping on any one of these dating sites. You have Match.com. I call it mismatch. You have Plenty of Fish. I call Plenty of Dead Fish. Bacala for the Italians and gefilte fish for the Jews. Right. But what I don't understand is when some of these men, they don't even put a full picture of a head. It's like part of a head, part of a face. They have a lot of chins, no necks, and there's always a picture of a dog and of a fish. And I feel like I'm on Field and Stream. Am I supposed to get turned on by the fact you got a dog there? You have a child whose face is whited out and a fish. And they're
trying to show you that they can provide for you. They can fish. They're the man, hunter-gatherer type thing.
Well, I thought it was, give a woman a fishies for a day, teach a woman how to fish, get the fuck out of my house because I'm not going out to fish. You're taking me out for dinner.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I mean, that whole thing is, unfortunately, it's like a necessary evil these days, when you're a single person and you're busy and you got a lot going on. But, oh, my God, it's like fertile ground for comedy. I feel like every man needs to take a class on how to present themselves on dating apps. Because, I mean, I'm sure you're very surprised to know I have a whole set in my act about this, and listen, I'm sure a lot of women are guilty of it, too. There's a lot of people that really have no idea how to present themselves, whether on camera or in person, for that matter. But it's a very weird and organic thing that we're forced to do these days. People don't approach each other in real life anymore. Like they're afraid. Like even my boys, I have 3 boys. My youngest is a girl. My older boys, they're in their early 20s. And they say that if you approach a girl at a bar, you're considered creepy. But if you slide into her DMs on Instagram, that's okay. It's literally backwards.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. how do you judge a person's, energy through this? This is garbage. This is bullshit. Unless you talk to a person and hear how they articulate, their voice, their demeanor, that's not organic. This is not real. Like it's anybody can say whatever they want about themselves and present
You don't even know
themselves.
whose picture. You don't even know whose picture it is. I ended up seeing something. I'm swiping. Oh, he looked nice and normal. Okay, so I go to set up to go meet him at a restaurant in the city, and I don't know who the hell it was who showed up, because I'm thinking to myself, was that your grandson that I saw on the phone? First of all, this man, his hair travels from the top of his head down his back. I don't even know where it got lost somewhere by the time he met me, And then, by the way, he was missing teeth and missing hair. And I said, "What happened to your teeth and what happened to your hair?" He pulls out a sandwich bag from his pocket. He carries them with him.
What? I'm just curious. Is he still single? I'm just curious. No, I'm kidding.
No, we're in a serious relationship right now.
Wow. He's probably a dynamo in bed, though. That is
incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah,
no, I've had some situations where I'm on a date in a restaurant, like looking for the camera because this could not be reality. I'm like, am I being punked? This can't be real. Like, what the fuck is happening right now? And honestly, I don't know how non-stand-up comedians cope with this, because at least we laugh about it and we turn it into material. Other people get legitimately traumatized. They're, scared off dating for forever. But, for us, it's hilarious because,
Oh, I love this. I get the best material. I get the best material from going out on dates. And something, when one guy actually came to one of my comedy shows and he heard me making jokes about somebody that I met on a dating site. And he said to me, he goes, if we break up, he goes, am I going to be in your next set? I go, you probably will be. Absolutely. That's the risk you take.
Right. Some guys like, oh, you're a comedian. Are you going to put me in your act? I'm like, I don't know. That depends. Are you going to do anything worth putting in my act? Like, that's really all up to you, But some of them want to. I think some of them want to be in it. Like, they have a weird version.
All I know is that, I was so traumatized after a couple of the people that I went out with, because I just couldn't believe it was the why me. So I went and I told this to my therapist, and then halfway through she gets up and she's putting her coat on. I'm like, where are you going? I still have time on the clock. She goes, I'm done with you. She goes, you're beyond help. She goes, I need therapy after dealing with you. She goes, where do you meet these people? I go, you want the whole list? How about this? There's this one, I don't know if you join this one. It's supposed to be for physically active people who like a lot of movement. One man was so old, I think the only movement he knows of is his bowel movement. He's really old.
I'm not in that one. Maybe I should be, but I'm not.
They're supposed to be into working out and all these fun activities. And if you look at some of them and think to myself, I think the only thing that goes to the gym are their yoga pants, and not when they're in them.
Right. Yeah.
Some of them are really scary looking.
I'm sure. No, it's like a whole surreal world. And honestly, you can't take any of it too seriously. It's a circus. And for me, I don't take it seriously until I'm sitting in front of the person, eye to eye, connecting and getting an actual sense of the person. It was definitely a lot different the first time, back, how many years when we met our significant others, our exes,
Last century.
Yeah. I feel bad for the kids, honestly, because they have to pair up and mate in a whole different kind of atmosphere.
It's weird because even my son too, at his age, him and all his friends are all on these dating sites called Hinge. I'm like, I go on Unhinge,
for sure.
But he's on Hinge. You're 21. Why can't you meet people? He goes, Mom, it's cold out. I would meet people at the beach or at the park when we're shooting hoops and everything. He's like, but it's wintertime. Where am I supposed to meet someone? I'm like, I don't know. Go skiing. He says, but when I go skiing, he goes, all the girls go in groups. He goes, none of them are on the slopes. They're all inside, hanging out by the fireplace, trying to
ski, drinking.
Yeah.
I mean, that is way more fun. I get it. I've been there, but no.
But it's very hard now to meet anybody, because they're always saying it's like, oh, go to a grocery store, go find some man who's shopping on his own and see what he's putting in his shopping cart, and then go talk to him.
Right. Well, I've tried that. I've gone to Trader Joe's and I stood there by the eggplant section. I picked one up. I said, I want one of these in real life. Anybody? And it didn't work. I'm surprised it did not work somehow. Yeah. I got some phone numbers, but nothing, like, oh, wait, hold on. He's texting me right now. Oh, never mind. So
I went on a dating site and actually ended up getting a client out of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, this is total truth. So I ended up on this dating site and met this person. He was older than me, but he was put together really well. And it turns out that when we're having dinner, he told me that he had a lot of time on his hands. That's how he worked out a lot. I'm like, what were you doing? Did you retire? He says, no, I was in jail. I was like, oh, that's nice. Okay. So he had a lot of time to work out in the gym. And I told him that I didn't really think we should, continue on the date because I feel uncomfortable going out with somebody who has a rap sheet. So I said, by the way, he says to me, he goes, by the way, did you see the black car outside? I said, Uber? He goes, no, it's the feds. He goes, they're photographing me. I'm like, oh, this is just getting better. So I left and we decided not to talk to each other again. And 2 days later, I had 75 missed phone calls from him, which really concerned me because I'm thinking to myself, I just stepped into a whole lot of crazy. And apparently on his way home, he blew his parole curfew. He hit an unmarked car and he was arrested for DWI. So he wanted to hire me as an attorney. And he goes, does this mean we can't date? I go, I don't date clients. But he actually retained me and our relationship lasted for 2 years as his attorney.
Wow.
Then afterwards he goes, well, once the case is done, he goes, can I date you? I go, no, I don't date former clients.
No, that's crazy.
Very crazy.
I'll be honest, I've met a lot of great guys online. I have met a lot of really good people, because I'm not one of these women that says, oh, there's no good men out there. I don't believe that for a second. I feel like there's plenty of good guys that are just as confused, just as frustrated, and they don't know how to proceed, because it's a different world. Like we're all it's an experiment basically. So I'm not going to say there's no good guys out there,
No, they're out there.
I feel like they really are out there and they're also looking. I feel like they're all looking. It's just, I guess it's a matter of timing and luck, and kind of everybody ends up where they're supposed to be, I think.
At a certain time, right? Listen, it's hard. I know I would like to meet somebody because I love doing things with a partner, as they say, and I like how someone, you get an invitation for a party, Polina, bring your significant other. I go, can I bring my insignificant other? I have a lot of those.
I know. Yeah, a bunch and nobody. There's a bunch and nobody.
I remember back in the day, like in the club days, it was so easy to meet people. A bunch of girls are hanging out at the bar dancing. The guys are there hanging out at the bar pretending they know how to dance. But you can meet people that way, and it felt safer because you're in a group and somebody knows somebody else, and the bouncer is there at the club.
Right. Good times.
Nowadays, different.
Good times. I mean, I went to college in Manhattan, and my God, I'm actually not even sure how the hell I graduated college because we were at a club like every night. And honestly, like back then, I know there was drugs and everything, but we were too poor. Like I was in art school. I couldn't afford any of that. I couldn't drink, whatever. And it was literally just about dancing, just about being and connecting with people and expanding your circle. It was just so fun. And like I look at my kids now and I feel like they're in jail. I feel like they're in jail. They're kind of like what's the word, like encapsulated by not having to say the wrong thing or not afraid to be canceled or whatever. You follow somebody and somebody finds out you're following that person and it's like crazy.
Then they unfollow you.
Right. We were so much freer.
We were freer without, and it was less complicated.
So much less complicated. You met somebody, you liked them, you dated, you moved in together, it was just very like organic and easy. Now it's like all these games. Do I have to text? Is he gonna text me that? I'm like, oh my God, like we're grown-ups.
Oh my God. And then he texted, how about this? Oh, he texted me in caps. He's angry about something. So I actually texted somebody in caps one day and now the person calls me and goes, what's with your attitude? I'm like, what attitude? What did I say? It's in caps. And I'm like, I don't have my contacts in. I can't see what I'm doing. Right. So now it's like, depending on what grammar, if you use too many exclamation points, they're reading into it.
Oh, God forbid the wrong emoji. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And as much as we're supposed to have these to make our lives more simple, it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah, because now it used to be, remember, if you were at home and you didn't have the answering machine on, okay, something, they'll call you back. Now you're expected to be like, you're in the toilet. What do you mean you don't have your phone? You're in the bathroom. I don't want to take my phone into the bathroom, okay?
Wait, that's not where you do some of your best swiping? What do you mean?
Wiping and swiping at the same time.
I'm telling you. Yeah, no. It's a different world. It's definitely a different world. And it's funny, people are like, oh, but you do comedy. You probably meet guys all the time. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. Single guys do not go to comedy clubs with their friends. If a guy's at a comedy club, he's there on a date. Okay.
Yes.
Single girls will go to comedy clubs, but there is no. And I'm like, no, that's not a thing that
actually,
to me.
When I was performing at Dangerfields before COVID, BC, before COVID, not before Christ. So I was performing at Dangerfields. So I would walk around, as I'm watching everybody get seated and everything else, just trying to see like who I'm going to like single out or something else. And there was like a table of young guys, but of course they were there. They were drunk and they were heckling everybody on stage. That's why they were there. So I was picking on them. I was like ruthless. But for the most part, it's either dates or big groups. So like you said, girls going out and up together. Most guys really don't. They're at bars.
Right. Which is fine. I mean, probably it's probably for the best. But yeah, I think people have a weird idea of like, it's not really like the social setting to be meeting, I'm not going to say I've never met anybody, but I don't know. It's not something that happens all the time on stage. And honestly, you're there to work. You show up, you're funny, and then you get paid and leave. That's,
Right. I mean, I'll hang out with the other comedians and everything else. But, I'm not going there to hook up with one of the other comedians. I'm like, you're just as dysfunctional as I am. This is why we're on stage telling jokes. We're not normal.
All right, hold on. I not all comedians are dysfunctional.
No, I know. I'm not saying I'm dysfunctional, but, something. We all have something that we're going through, we're trying to get out, for instance. I'll tell you one thing that happened that was really funny because apparently, and we're in the business with words, words and comedy and storytelling and everything else. So I made an error months ago. I was out with a not girlfriend, but a friend who was a girl. And we had gone to some like interesting art type of show. And we were at a cocktail table for two. At the next table over was like an older version of she and I, like an older woman couple. I just figured, okay, well, they're friends. We're friends. No problem. My friend knew one of those ladies. So she made all the introductions and they walk away. So I'm left now with this woman who I just met 37 seconds ago. So she goes, oh, I hear that you're a comedian. She goes, and you're a lawyer. She goes, what made you decide to do comedy? I go, well, after getting divorced 5 years ago, I decided to come out of the closet. Now, I knew what I meant. You could have heard her squeal in Montana because she just sounded like she had quadruple orgasms. And I got scared because she's like squealing, like, oh my God. I go, what happened? She goes, you came out of the closet. You're a lesbian. I'm like, I'm a what? I'm like, no, wrong closet. And I'm realizing I got to watch what I say because she and this other lady were a lesbian couple. And she was so excited to meet another lesbian couple. Right. And she ran around the room telling everybody, I'm this lesbian lawyer comedian. And I'm really funny.
The trifecta.
Right. And I was like, I'm trying to get back into the closet. So I found my friend and I kept tugging on her sleeve. And I said, I have to talk to you. She goes, what? I said, well, after 5 minutes ago, we just became a lesbian couple. She goes, I left you alone for 5 minutes. How are we now lesbians? I go, I came out of the closet. She goes, go back in. Wrong closet.
Right.
So words are very important.
I should say, I met my ex-husband in your comedy club 100 years ago. I was in an improv group there and he came to audition and he joined the group and I stopped doing improv and I switched to stand-up. And when we got divorced, actually, I became friendly with my divorce attorneys. And she was like, can I come to your show? I'm like, of course. And she says, don't embarrass me. Don't say a single thing about me. challenge accepted. Obviously, if you say that, I'm going to write a bit all about you.
All about you.
Of course, she shows up. She's sitting in the front row, and I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, my divorce attorney's here tonight. I told her it was a $5,000 cover and $160 each additional joke. So she had a big laugh, and she got all embarrassed. She's like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. She was embarrassed again. And then I said, she's such a good attorney that she actually got me this club in the divorce, and I wasn't even married to the owner. So so we had we had a really good time, and we're still friendly. But so my ex-husband I met at a comedy club, so I don't think I'll be doing that again.
The comedy or the getting married and the comedy?
The latter. The comedy is always, but I have taken a break. I think I mentioned to you, I've taken a break this past year after like 26 years. I thought it was time, I mean, I've taken breaks here and there, 4 kids. Right. It's a lot of pregnancies and a lot of breastfeeding happening there. So my kids are hilarious. That's for sure. So.
Well, now that you're on a break from breastfeeding, you need to go back on stage.
Break from breastfeeding. She's 17, like that. 15.
Well, in some cultures,
this is dried up situation here. There's no stop it.
Powder. Okay, we got powder going.
I actually one time I performed at the Stress Factory. I don't know why I got to go there, but literally, I think she was like a year and a half. I got off the stage and my boobs were like bursting. I'm like, all right, thank you so much. I gotta go. Like ran home. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, is anybody on stage? Can they tell I'm so engorged? Nobody could tell, but I could tell. So yeah, good times.
I have to tell you something. You are welcome back anytime. And when you decide to come back to comedy and everything else, we have to do something together. I will produce a show. You have to perform with me because we have so much. We can go on and on the entire night. And I love how we started with the anti-Semitism and all the hatred, and we're ending on what we do best. We're ending on laughs and happiness.
Absolutely, because the haters can go fuck themselves.
Exactly. Something we're here to say. I'm Yisrael Chai.
Exactly.
And thank you. And everybody, thank you for joining us tonight, Monday, December 4th. You have now been watching episode number 17 with my wonderful, very funny lady guest, Polina Zismanova. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
This broadcast is